5:30 plus. I'll call the February meeting of the Port Edward School Board to order. Consider approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Report from student reps.
Hi, I'm Haley Price and I'm a sophomore. I'm Cam and I'm a sophomore.
And I'm Wesley Detlefson, and I am also a sophomore.
This week, Student Council began the annual Crush sales. Along with Crush Soda, we are also selling treats and small teddy bears. This is one of our popular fundraisers in the middle and high school that helps with the costs for the state conference in April. HOSA had 12 students compete at the regional competition in November, and the results came a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, no one earned a high enough score to compete at state. However, all 12 students who participated earned a bronze level. Congrats to all those who competed.
NHS member Evelyn Fletcher recently applied for a student service grant through NASSP and was awarded $1,000 grant for NHS. This will be used to purchase activities, games, snacks, and other supplies for Black Hawk Buddy program.
Our middle schoolers have been busy with their competitions over the last couple of weeks. On January 13th, they had their annual spelling bee. After many rigorous rounds, 5th grader Nicole Combs came out on top and will move on to compete in the regional round next week, Tuesday, February 17th. Good luck, Nicole. The 5th grade has been practicing their Math 24 skills, and tomorrow they put it to the test. 9 5th grade students will compete against each other to determine who will move on to compete in the district competition. The top 5 competitors will compete on March 5th at the Performing Arts Center in Rapids against other central Wisconsin schools. Good luck to all of those who are competing.
Lastly, next week, Tuesday, February 17th, we are hosting our second blood drive in the Dorothy Alexander Auditorium from 9 to 1. There's plenty of slots available yet, so we encourage anyone to come and donate. Thank you for listening, and we hope you have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any questions for our students?
Are any of you participating in the blood drive? Helping?
I plan on
Good for
participating.
you, good for you.
Thank
I
you.
encourage community people to come because there aren't many people that are there. Usually when I'm there, I'm one of the few, so
There's a shortage
if
of blood.
if you know someone or you want to donate blood, be there on the 17th.
You guys all know your blood type? Next time you go to the doctor, ask.
Mine is positive.
That's important.
Yours is what?
Oh, positive.
There you go, you know.
If you're O neg, you get a gold star and a bluebird, and they put a tracker on you so they can follow you around.
Wesley, I'm O positive too, so we are not, we're just kind of,
I'm almost.
but they'll take your blood.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome
you.
to stay if you'd like, but nobody ever does. So they usually flee at the first opportunity, so
Thank you.
thank you very much. All board members are in attendance tonight. There are 2 DPI proclamations that we need to read into the minutes for this evening. First off, National School Counseling Week. Whereas school counselors facilitate and support the academic, personal, social, and career development and success of students in schools throughout Wisconsin, and whereas school counselors help all students identify and develop their strengths, abilities, and interests to support academic growth, career readiness, and post-secondary planning, and whereas school counselors collaborate with students, families, and school staff to help remove barriers, access resources, and support students in developing goals that further their educational, career, personal, and social growth, and whereas school counselors play an integral role in responding to and advocating for the mental health needs of students with a focus on proactive and preventative approaches, and whereas comprehensive school counseling programs are an essential part of the educational system, empowering all students to succeed inside and outside of the school setting, and school counselors seek to identify and utilize community resources that can enhance and complement these programs, and whereas this week, the state of Wisconsin joins students, parents, school, and district staff in celebrating the unique and significant role that school counselors play in helping students thrive in districts across the state. Therefore, I, Jill Underly, State Superintendent, declare February 2nd through 6th, 2026 as National School Counseling Week. Proclamation 1. Proclamation 2. 2026 Adult School Crossing Guard Recognition Week. Whereas Wisconsin's adult school crossing guards provide an invaluable service in helping to ensure the safe passage of our youngest, most vulnerable pedestrians, children walking between home and school. And whereas adult school crossing guards serve with dedication navigating split shifts, heavy traffic, and unpredictable conditions, standing strong in the face of sweltering heat, bitter cold, blowing snow, heavy rainfall, and whereas for more than for more than 5 decades, adult school crossing guards have strengthened Wisconsin's communities by promoting safety, trust, and a reliable path for learning for children across urban, suburban, and rural areas. And whereas adult school crossing guards are often the first friendly face to welcome students at the start of the school day, and the last to wish them well as they return home, providing reassurance to students, families, and school staff alike. And whereas through their daily presence and professionalism, adult school crossing guards reinforce lifelong safety habits by modeling and teaching traffic awareness, hazard recognition, and responsible street crossing behaviors. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Jill Underly, State Superintendent of Public Instruction, declare the week of February 16th through 20th, 2026, Adult School Crossing Guard Recognition Week, a time to recognize and thank the many adult school crossing guards whose commitment makes a difference in the lives of the children of Wisconsin schools. Thank you, and well-deserved recognition for both of those groups of very important professionals.
Absolutely.
Is it 2 crossing guards that we still have, one here and?
Yes, one in each corner.
Yep.
And the school district will be recognizing them and acknowledging them as well. I'll be going out and meeting with them, and we have a token of our appreciation toward them.
In my driver's ed experience, many times it's not the children that need help getting across the street, it's the big people who want to know better, but we won't go there. Our next board meeting is set for March 11th, correct?
Yes.
At 5:30, 5 if a executive session is needed. Administrative reports, elementary principal, Mr. Beano.
Good evening, and thank you for coming tonight. It's nice to see a little bit of an audience. We don't always have much of an audience, so welcome everyone. Some of the highlights from January and early February here at Hoyer Elementary School. 2 days ago, on Monday, February 9th, all district staff had our second of 3 professional in-service days this school year. Here at the elementary, our teaching staff spent the morning working with the new MyView ELA anchor text program, which we purchased about 3 weeks ago. If you remember, MyView was vetted starting this summer, and throughout the fall we piloted it. It is Act 20 compliant. It's a very robust program. We looked at some different choices. This checked all the boxes in terms of curriculum and academics for us. It was user-friendly for our teachers, and it was definitely the most cost-effective. So we really dove into the MyView program during the morning hours. And in the afternoon, we did K through 12 curriculum departments, and we worked on aligning curriculum and set further curriculum goals. So we had a very productive Monday here. That was excellent. Coming up in the future here, on Thursday, February 19th, is the annual Opera for the Young program. Very exciting. That'll take place at 1:30 here in the elementary gym. Mr. Erdman, our elementary teacher, has been working with the elementary students to learn the songs, learn some of the actions for it, and those that, in his judgment, know the songs the best and are really interested and really engaged with this will be chosen to come up on stage and work with the opera performers. This year's performance is called The Elixir of Love, and it's set in the Old West of the United States. So, very interesting. The Elixir of Love.
Perfect.
Elementary kids with the elixir for love on stage. What could possibly go wrong?
Right. Boys and girls, Izzy and Alex, do you know what the elixir is? What is the drink?
It's a potion. You're gonna find out.
Good one for you, Alex. Don't give it away.
I love the cliffhanger, Alex. I appreciate that.
Tell him to come and pay attention.
Stay tuned.
All right. Well,
News at 10.
I'm excited, Alex. I put you on the spot, and that's a great reply. Awesome, Alex. Thank you. So that's next Thursday at 1:30. People, our Port Edwards Parent Organization, which we are so thankful for, we speak about very highly. They're hosting its second annual February Neon Dance on Friday, the 27th. Second to last day in February. It's from 6 to 7:30. If any of my details are wrong, I know the president of PIPO is close by, monitoring my words. 6 to 7:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a neon dance, but what is the actual theme?
Wild animals to go with the animal theme for the elementary school year.
Wild animals. And it's, if you need your senses stimulated at all, we're going to have a family-friendly DJ. The lights will be down, and there'll be neon trinkets on our kids, and they'll be running everywhere for 90 minutes.
So you're gonna do the potion first, and then we're gonna do,
Yeah.
then we're gonna do
Good February
this.
here.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
A lot of fun things going on.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I say it all the time, but
Fun.
it's so justified. We're so thankful for people. They do so many wonderful programs here at our school. So again, that's the dance is February 27th from 6 to 7:30. People, along with our staff here in conjunction, is also doing the second annual cereal box challenge. If you noticed when you walk through the doors to your right here in the lobby, there are cereal boxes stacked up almost to the ceiling. Last year, our school collected 504 cereal boxes, I believe,
I think so.
which all went to our local food pantry. It's through the Do Good Wisconsin program. We collected over 500 last year. We're trying to beat that this year. Students bring in cereal boxes. Our teachers collect them. We do a count at the end of the week, and the class that wins each week gets a nice little prize, gets some kind of treat, and then we'll have a big treat at the end for everybody as well. And one of the really fun things is at the end, the moms come in and they do something really cool with the cereal boxes, and we do a music video with them. Last year, if you remember, they lined up all of the cereal boxes kind of like a big long snake, and they did a big domino, and we had children cartwheeling over the top of it, and it's really neat. So thank you again to people. Mrs. Wilhorn is helping to lead up some of the logistics here in the building, and it's all for a good cause, going to the food pantry. So.
What's the date on that? What's the deadline for that?
So we're in the second of 3 weeks. So next Friday will be the last day. A week from Friday, so that would be the 20th.
20th.
The 20th, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
If
get
anyone
some-
from
I'll
the
get some
community
cereal
would like
over.
to bring in cereal, all donations are welcomed.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. That's February 20th is the last day. Thank you very much.
Any questions, Mr. Bean?
Lots of good things going on, as always.
Moving on to middle school, high school principal report, Mr. Stoneball.
Good evening. It's nice because there's still some daylight. And it's
Yeah.
about
Isn't
6,
that
so,
amazing?
yeah.
It was a dark when we
You
came.
know, that leads into February. It's a short month, but we seem at the high school, middle school to cram everything in. And it kind of gets us over that hump. So it's been a rough stretch for staff and, both schools because the kids get squirrely at this time of time. But when you hear the kids talk about the Black Hawk Buddies, I informed you guys about that. Abby Fletcher writing a grant, I had to fill out a few, signature pages for her. And then all of a sudden we were informed that she was awarded $1,000 to help supplement that Black Hawk Buddy program. So good things are happening. Coming up here this Sunday is the Booster Club raffle. Once again on February 15th, it's on Facebook Live at 5 o'clock. Thanks again goes out to Mr. Ayers, Booster Club members Carrie Martinson, Crystal Sievers, and Chrissy Robinson, and their high school programs with high school coaches and athletes. So that will be up this Friday. As they mentioned, the Diversity Blood Drive will be on February 17th in the Dorothy Alexander Auditorium from 9 to 1. Last fall, we talked about, if you guys remember, we talked about band and choir concerts. And remember, we were going to try a Sunday concert, and we realized that Sunday happened to be opening weekend here. We're trying it again this spring. Band concert will be February 19th at 6:30 p.m. And then we're going to try the choir concert again, give it a shot on Sunday, February 22nd at 2:00 in the afternoon. And shouldn't be any hunting or fishing or anything to conflict with. Have to change this year. Also coming up in the future here before next board meeting, on March 8th from 8 to noon will be the Lions Pancake Breakfast. Coming up in the middle school and high school cafeteria, so that's something to put on your calendars. Also, you know, we sent our band kids to Hawaii. We also, our Spanish 2, 3, and 4 classes, Mrs. Frizzell and the other chaperones, Mrs. Griffith, they're right now planning a trip to Costa Rica. Well, it's all been planned, but they're kind of finding the details right now. That will take place over Christmas break, or spring break. We have 15 students, 10, 11, and 12th graders going down to Costa Rica over spring break. So very excited to have them have the opportunity for that and kind of fully immerse them into the language down there. Again, like I said, lots of things going on here. One thing I did want to say with the student or the school counselor week last week, you know, I would like to speak on Jen Ayers' behalf. When I was in college, a lot of the professors told you the most important person in a building when you start teaching is the custodian. My early years when I taught in Nakusa, I realized quickly that was a big person, a big important person, but the other one were the cooks, because they would feed me in the morning. And when I took this principal position, I realized how important the counselor is in a building. From the mental health pieces these days to the scheduling of our high school and middle school classes, Mrs. Ayers is an absolute rock star, and we are blessed beyond belief to have her in our district. So I wanted to thank her, you know, with you guys too. So, thank you.
Well deserved.
I have a question. Did you guys do the finance challenge bowl? Did somebody go for it?
Yeah, I didn't really get the results. It was this morning.
Okay.
At Mid-State, the kids were just coming back.
Okay.
I believe we had 7 kids, six kids go represent. They made it into the final round, and it was they won their semifinal one to get into the final group, and it was, they beat an Amherst team, and they were only beaten, I think they took 4th, and they were only beaten by 3 other Amherst teams. So,
Awesome.
yeah,
I'm
so.
glad they won. I used to judge it every year and Kurt wasn't there and I was sad. So it was cool that they won.
Yeah, I asked them, you know, what kind of questions, and they said, Kunu said he was there, and he said one of the questions was, how many dollar bills does it take to make a pound? And I, like, equal a pound, and I said, I don't know, maybe 100, and it was, I think, 462. And he said, so they're not really finance questions.
That's
but
awesome.
They were happy that they prevented an all Amherst Final Four.
Very cool.
Yeah. And one other thing, on Saturday, the 21st, Host is hosting Sadie Hawkins dance. So I'm not sure on the history of Port if that's been a thing here, but I know Rapids does the Fire and Ice, Nakusa does the Sadie Hawkins. So a lot of kids ask about that, and obviously that's where the girls ask the boys. So that's gonna be held at the Kiwanis Club on Saturday, the 21st.
Thank you. Any questions from Mr. Stone? Thank you. Back to Mr. Bina for the district superintendent report.
Thank you, Shane. So many good things happening at the high school always. That's great to hear. Just some updates at the district level. As we move into February, we start already thinking about next year's budget. The fiscal year starts, of course, on July 1st. The 26-27 district budget timeline has been tentatively set. Budget request sheets will be sent to faculty members at the end of February. They'll be due back to our building principals for review by the end of March. And budget request forms will be due to the business office from our principals by April 20th. So we are starting to look ahead to fiscal year 26-27. I placed in front of each of our board members tonight a document which shows historical student enrollment. Student enrollment is counted by the Department of Public Instruction on the 3rd Friday of September, and then a second time during the school year on the 2nd Friday in January. So unfortunately, we saw a pretty significant decrease from January 2025 to January 2026, a decrease of almost 30 students. We've got a couple of low grades. I think our two smallest grades are about first and second grade. The good news is we've got a kindergarten at about 34 right now, 34 or 35. So our lower grades are kind of coming up. We graduated some really big grades. There's a little bit of a bubble in the lower elementary here. So that's kind of a breakdown of that lower enrollment number right now. We'll certainly keep an eye on that. So that is our student count. I wanted to give a shout out tonight to Building and Grounds Manager Sean Ringer. We had a pretty significant freezing situation. If you remember, who can forget that last week of January, or those last 2 weeks when the temperatures were bitterly cold. We had a frozen coil in the heating system of the tech ed area on the morning of January 26th. That was a Monday. He identified it quickly. He was able to get it removed. He hardwired an industrial heater into the shop so that we could still have that area somewhat functional and keep learning going on in the tech ed area. That heater was going all week long down there. Coil was fixed and it was reinstalled. Quick thinking and quick acting by Mr. Ringer allowed us to continue to have school down in that part of the building. So that was awesome. That area, the ductwork, the air handler, everything, that is scheduled to be replaced this summer. So that is part of the 1962, I believe, it was first installed. And finally, on Wednesday, February 25th, it's also that time of year annually where we start looking at our CISA 5 contracted schedule for next year. February 25th, I'll be meeting with the CISA 5 Director, Jeremy Beal, to create our tentative plan of contracted services for the 26-27 school year, and I'll be bringing that to the board on March 11th for review and approval. Thank you.
Questions, Mr. Bean, on these matters? Next on the agenda is the Port Edward School District Business Partner of the Month recognition.
Okay, thank you very much. Starting this year, this calendar year, Port Edward School District is recognizing businesses that have shown a great deal of support through their time, their effort, their energy, their resources. Last month, we recognized El Cafe. This month, we are recognizing Precision Grading and Utilities Incorporated. Precision Grading and Utilities, which is owned by the Schrader family. And this evening, we have Sarah Schrader and her two great kids who attend the elementary here, Alex and Izzy. Welcome. They're here with us. The business owners, Mark and Casey Schrader, they are district alumnus. And over several years, they've donated time, and as I mentioned, time, energy, and resources to improving our building and grounds here and programming on many different occasions. Most recently, Precision Grading Utilities donated 6 glass basketball backboards and rims to our elementary gym, which was a very nice upgrade in our gym. They were installed last spring, and that was a significant cost savings for the district. The Port Edward School District is proud to present to the Schrader family and Precision Grading Utilities a plaque signifying them as their business as a highly valued supporter of Port Edward schools. Thank you very much, guys. Izzy, would you like to hold the plaque? Izzy, you guys want to hold it? You don't want to be in the picture,
Sarah, you should be in there too.
Spot, Sarah. No?
Okay.
One
Two
without
steps
it.
back. Come this way. 2 steps back.
There we go. Gotta make this as professional.
There you go. Yeah, that's good.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good representation of the family.
Absolutely.
Kids, you're gonna make mom pay for being out of the picture. Dream up something that you can ask her about that you really would like that she's going to give you because she chickened out.
No.
Next on the agenda is our annual audit report from Clifton Larson Allen.
We have Amber Danielski from CLA, who I'm sure you all recognize, and Crystal will be your first time meeting Amber. She's been our auditor here for, you tell, how many years have you been here? It's ever since I came into this position.
I would say Marcia
Marcia
was still here.
Marcia.
So I believe we've been your auditor since 2010. That's about the year
Okay.
I recall. Thank you for inviting me to be here tonight. I'm gonna go through select pages in the bound document, just like I always have, and then open it up for questions and kind of just give a brief overview of the audit. So similar to prior years, we do a risk-based audit. We talk to Lisa, we talk to the superintendent, we talk to food service, we talk to various different people and kind of get a feel for what went on during the year. And then we also look at what new accounting rules have to be put into place, or whether,
Excuse me, Amber, just a minute. If any of you in the audience want one of these, you can pick them up so you can follow along, because it's
They're on the
really
table.
interesting,
If you'd like.
if you'd like.
if you wanna see. No, that works.
don't know if
And
it's two.
so
Do you have
we
one of
do,
I got Crystal's, I got two of them.
the extra pages.
Oh, it should be in the back of your book,
Right.
Crystal.
Oh, is that?
I had an extra. I had two of them.
She's got in the back of the book.
Okay.
That works.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm not necessarily gonna go over those printed copies. I'm gonna go
Okay.
through all the other stuff first. But so when we take all that into consideration, then we read minutes and we kind of just also assess different things DPI might have put out that says this is what's impacting districts this year, keep up with all that stuff. And come up with a risk-based audit. We don't look at every single transaction, otherwise we'd probably still be here, that kind of thing. So we do samples, we might do 25 payroll, or we might do 40 payroll, depending on what's going on. We might do 40 disbursements, like with all your referendum projects, we might do a little bit more testing on that. Or for receipts, we'll ask for supporting documentation from grants, from different donations, different things like that. From there, just to kind of review what they're for and figure out, are they in the right spot based on just overall accounting rules and then DPI rules. And then from there, all that accumulates into our audit opinion. And in our opinion, the financial statements for June 30th, 2025 presented fairly the financial position of the district, which is basically the clean audit opinion you're always looking for. Everything we looked at fell within the guidelines that we needed to have. This was the first year in a couple years that the district, all that ESSER money was gone. So that changed a little bit of the dynamic of the audit as well, because when that money was coming in, it sometimes triggered extra testing. And now with it gone, we're down back to not having it.
May I elaborate?
Yep.
ESSER funds were COVID relief funds.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, and so all that money had to be spent pretty much by 9/30/25. So, and so districts had, he had got different tranches over the time, and whenever you spent over $750,000 in federal funds, at least through June 30th, you always had to have an extra audit. This year you fell back below that and you didn't have to have that extra audit. DPI still requires us to do some testing, like they always require us to look at Fund 80 and they always require us to look at Fund 46 and a couple other things. So the testing just shifts that way every year depending on how it goes. The district won't have to have a federal single audit now going forward unless it crosses $1 million. The federal government moved that threshold up. So short of more COVID funding or more specialized funding, the district probably won't have a single audit for a long time. But so overall, all that played into it, it basically resulted in a clean audit opinion. So then I want to focus mainly on the financial numbers. So if you go to page 8, this is your balance sheet, your assets and liabilities as of June 30th. And we're going to start basically in the middle in that general column, and then I'll move over to the right. So your general fund is your main fund. On these financial statements, that is Fund 10 and Fund 27 because of the way the accounting rules work. So we had $2.9 million of total assets. 1.9 million of that was cash, and then another 700,000 was taxes receivable. Now that taxes receivable came in August, so it ended up being converted to cash really quickly. Your liabilities were just about $112,000. The biggest amount of that was $75,000 due to your long-term capital improvement fund. DPI allows the district to make a transfer in July to that capital projects fund but still book it back to the prior year. And that is what that amount was. So that's going to be, it'll hit the cash account in Fund 46 now in 25-26 and be there for the district to spend on items that are in their 10-year long-term capital improvement plan. So that was your biggest liability there. You've had that, the district has done that transfer like that the last couple of years.
Will be, 5 years will be up March.
Okay, and that's the whole thing is DPI, you have to, when they set the rules with that, you had to let the money sit there for 5 years before you could actually start spending it. And so then you can start spending it. But as long as, and that's where, you created the fund like 5 years ago and you probably did your 10-year capital improvement plan 5 years ago. So you may wanna, make sure you're looking at that periodically to update it, because sometimes you might have had to do something that you didn't plan on because it had to get moved up or back kind of thing. And that, you won't be using that. And so, we always recommend every couple of years, take another look at it and have the board approve an updated version of that. Especially since you're doing certain projects with your referendum project too. Some of those might have been covered by that potentially as well. Or it can be used to supplement maybe some of that stuff as well. So the remaining balance there then is your fund balance. So total fund balance for the general fund was just under $2.8 million at the end of the year. There's 3 separate categories of that fund balance. The first category is non-spendable, and that was $76,000. That is, when it says non-spendable, it means you basically prepaid it, but it's for next school year. So a lot of times it's health insurance that got prepaid in June, but for July premiums. Or maybe there's some conferences you paid for, or different things you might have just prepaid because you could have gotten cost savings or whatever, but it's for next school year. So that'll get moved to expenses next year. And since the cash is out the door already, that's why it's non-spendable. The restricted category happens when a third party gives you money and says you can only spend it on X, Y, and Z. So this money this year, the $8,000 there, is your common school library funds. So DPI gave you some of those funds, but you didn't spend it all in 1 year. So then we track that amount and it has to be reported to DPI in your annual report saying, okay, we still have $8,000 left to spend. And it's a rolling calculation. And then some years you might spend it all, some years you might just grow on it. And that's where it gets shown separately. The remaining amount of $2,674,000 is unassigned fund balance. This is your cash flow balance. This is what can be used for unanticipated expenditures that you didn't know when you were doing your original budget. Now you gotta kind of help make that work. One thing we always look at when we look at that unassigned number is what percentage of current year expenditures is that? And the reason we do that is because your state revenue doesn't always come in very, very timely. You get it all, in June kind of thing. And even your taxes receivable, it all comes later. So you need to have enough cash on hand to be able to pay for everything until those aids come in, until those taxes come in. So that's why we look at that percentage, thinking, okay, well, if you get X amount of percentage of expenditures, that should cover you for a couple months, kind of thing. This $2.7 million is 33% of current year expenditures. Your district policy says you guys want to have it at a minimum of 10%, so you're meeting your policy requirements. From an industry perspective, we always like to see 15 to 25%. So even from what we're seeing, you guys are sitting where you need to be. And when you do have it up at that level, that does mean you don't necessarily have to short-term borrow. Because if it falls too low, depending on your cash flow, sometimes you have to take up on that line of credit, or you got to take, some districts don't even do a line of credit, they actually do true 12-month bonds kind of thing, 12-month notes. And when you do that, you incur extra interest costs and other things along those lines. So it's a cost-benefit line. Could you spend it down? Yes, but then maybe you might incur other costs because you have to short-term borrow and pay for that. So it's one of those things that we always just recommend districts just keep an eye on it, monitor your cash flows, you know how it's happening, you know what the trends are, and from there you can determine where you really want that amount to be. Any questions on the general fund? So then moving next to the next column over, your long-term capital improvement fund, like I briefly mentioned, this is your Fund 46. This is what can be spent on those projects in that 10-year plan. You have $480,000 in fund balance set aside to cover some of those projects. The other capital projects column, that's all the unspent proceeds from the referendum debt for the projects for that. So you did spend down a little bit, and we'll go through that in another page, but you basically have $7.1 million at the end of June to use for projects. I believe more of the projects were ramping up now in 25, 26, so I would expect that balance to start decreasing. The other governmental funds column, that's going to be your Fund 21, your Fund 50, debt service funds, all the smaller funds combined. And you have $520,000 roughly set aside to fund those expenditures and those funds into the next year. Overall, just under $11 million in total fund balance for all your governmental funds. Any questions on those? Okay, well then we'll move to page 10. Page 10 are your revenue and expenses for the year. Again, starting basically focusing with general fund, $8.5 million in total revenues, primarily in those state sources and property taxes, which is what you'd expect. You know, you get so much of that's your primary funding there. You will see again, federal sources had dropped down to only $370,000, so that's your Title I idea flow through, those kind of things that's in there. Total expenditures of $8.1 million. And then overall, way down at the bottom, your net change in fund balance is $284,000. Part of the reason you were able to increase the fund balance in the general fund is you had some expenditures come in under budget. I believe there was a couple projects that just, because it was mainly in the operations and maintenance line, there were a couple projects that just got delayed, and those now expenses will be probably more in this year then. So sometimes that happens, and that's why you get to increase the fund balance a little bit. As noted then, your long-term capital improvement fund, the main increase was that transfer in from the general fund. And then your other capital projects, you will see you spent $510,000 on projects that were in the referendum. But you had revenues of almost $290,000, which is basically interest income on those funds to help offset some of those costs. So that's how you ended up with just under $7.1 million. Or that's kind of how it ended up netting out. They only ended up using $200 and some thousand of the fund balance in that fund. Any questions on this page? Okay, with that, then we'll turn and talk about the findings that we have. If you move to page 69. And these are the same findings I talked about in the past. As part of our audit, we don't do extensive tests of controls. We're only required to gain an understanding of what your internal control checks and balances are. And so even though we don't do full tested controls and go really, really deep, if we see that there is a internal control issue, we're still required to point it out to the district. And so the first one is segregation of duties. Ideally, in a perfect world, you want to have more than one person handle a transaction from start to finish. But sometimes in small settings, you can't do that. And so, you know, just for cost benefit purposes, you can't add another 3 people to help break apart payroll or break apart, you know, disbursements or whatever.
And we're lucky because we have Lisa.
You got one person and you go with it and you run with it. And you know, you've done what you can to break things apart. You know, you've added different layers of review of different things.
Right.
But sometimes you just can't outrun that segregation of duties. And that's what that finding's all about. And, you know, nothing that we've seen that's unusual compared to small districts just like your size. Some of them even a little bigger also have that problem. So it's just something to always be aware of. It's part of what becomes important with board oversight to help keep on asking those questions when you see different reports come through and be like, what's this? What's this? You know, be inquisitive and ask the different questions about what's going on, because that helps in that oversight. Because it could be a clerical thing. You know, we've all transposed a 9 or a 6 somewhere along the way, you know? And that's the importance of having additional reviews on things. And in our recommendation, you know, we talk about risk assessment. And basically what we're looking for is, you know, periodically take a look at the cash receipts process. Is there a way you could break it up and maybe have, you know, one of the secretaries or a different person run the deposit down instead of, you know, break it apart. If it doesn't work, if you've already gotten it broken as apart as you can, okay, move on. You've at least reassessed it, because, you know, things do change. You know, you just never know. Or maybe in the software system, maybe there's something with payroll that could get broken apart slightly different. You know, where one person could enter the new salary rates every year, and then Lisa could just review that they got put in accurately. You know, it's just, you don't have to go through and reassess every single thing in all your processes every year, because that would take a lot of time. But, you know, periodically see what could change, or are you still comfortable with what controls you've put in place as it is?
We have those conversations. We do. We look at how we do
Yeah.
things.
And you know, and every year becomes different too. I mean, sometimes Skyward might all of a sudden have a new module that you could do something with, or, you know, you go to a training and you're like, oh, I never thought about it this way. Maybe we could have something like this done. you know, it's part of that too, keep your ears open for what you hear from other districts and when you go to conferences like, hey, how do you guys handle credit cards? Or do you guys do a P card system versus credit cards? Or, you know, any different thing along those lines, you know, and then bring that all together and just collaborate. I think that's to me the key part. And again, nothing quite unusual, but we're required to point it out. So, you know, and we'll have that conversation every year. Again, just keep on doing what you can. The second finding is kind of along those lines. It's about preparation of this report. So from the audit perspective, we're required to prepare the front letter, the opinion letter, that's about 5 to 7 pages, and then the internal control letter, which is about 3 to 5 pages. The rest of it is management's responsibility to prepare. But for cost benefit purposes, most school districts contract that out with their auditors to prepare all the schedules that are in here. But by doing that, you're outsourcing it. You still need to have some sort of control over it and acknowledge that maybe there might be a footnote that might get missed that doesn't quite exactly say your policy right, or that there's, you know, some wording typo in there. And so because of that, we just have this finding in here, and Lisa gets these drafts. She gets all these pages before we print them and everything, so she can do a cursory review. And, you know, that makes it okay for us. We still have to show this finding just because it's outsourced. And I'll say out of the 8 schools I work on, I prepare all 8 financial statements. So it's not something unusual. But it is just something to be aware of. And also, then as you guys do look through these reports, if there's questions, you know, reach out. I can maybe explain a footnote or two. I know some of them are a little long. You know, lots of things about pensions and OPEB and different things that are a little bit, I know, even more complex than when I started. I was explaining that the other day to one of our new hires where, you know, the Wisconsin retirement footnote used to be a page long and now it's about 7. So the way the accounting standards have changed over time, but that's where, you know, read through it, ask questions, and, you know, just always do that. I guess that's my open-ended answer to that part, is for that finding, is just always review those, and if you have questions, please reach out and I'll do my best to explain or say, DPI wants it this way, so then this is why that's there, kind of thing, or whatever it might be. So with that, I'll open it up for any other questions.
And if our board members have any questions, if you take this home, you know, read it some evening, you may fall asleep, but then again, if you wake back up and look at it again, in all seriousness, if you have any questions, give me a call. Please call me, please email me, or Lisa.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah, we'll have a conversation.
Thank you, Amber.
And like
Yeah,
I always
thank
say, Amber's been fantastic to work with for all the years I've been doing this, so she's a great resource, and Liz is available whenever I need her.
We appreciate coming to the district and working together. We like to work together as a team with all of our clients, and, you know, we like the phone calls in the middle of the year just to kind of touch base or say, hey, are we on the right track, go for it, or, and we have services we can help provide for different things too. I mean, you know, with payroll and different things, we have people that dive into it way more than myself, so I can get you connected with different resources if certain things come up. Like, you know, there's been different things with the One Big Beautiful Bill Act and overtime reporting and different things, and, you know, that's led to so many different questions, because it's like, well, how do employers do that, or different things. And so we like to be a resource there, and that's why, you know, we appreciate everything the district does to get ready for us, and then but also just the communication periodically throughout the year to know that we're all on the same page, and at least we can come in prepared for the audit then too and make it as smooth as possible. And I know we'll be in touch a lot more, because as the superintendent mentioned with the membership counts, the district did get picked to have a membership audit by DPI, so we will be doing some testing on that stuff in the coming months. Exactly, it's been like, I think we figured out 22, 23, something like that. Somewhere like that. It's been DPI requires 25% of the districts be picked every year. And when you haven't been doing it for about 4 years, you're gonna get picked. So, you know, but we look forward to working with the district to get through all that. And again, keeping up our relationship going forward, and just know that we're here if there's different questions you might have, because through our consulting teams that could help out too. And, you know, we're throughout the state, we audit almost 90 different school districts throughout the state. So we do have some different connections too, if you want different ideas, or, you know, we can see if others have run into it too. So we are here, and we appreciate everything from the district.
But in your estimation, we're in good shape.
You're sitting pretty good. I think you're sitting
That's
pretty good.
what I
And
hear.
I think especially with the fund balance, you guys have, you know, built that up to where you can sustain if something you know, if a
Yeah.
project happens or whatever, and even with the referendum, you got some assessment, you know, you have a plan going with that and being able to, especially if you keep up with some, if the interest income keeps up for some of that stuff, that should help you, because as you know, all projects end up with overruns, no matter how much contingency you got built in there. And so that should allow you some flexibility, I think, and just, you know, keep analyzing and keep assessing those projects and monitor that cash flow and you'll be all set.
The public's perception of the fund balance is that it's a piggy bank, it's a slush fund, but it's not. In years past, we've had to short-term borrow. And we haven't had to do that for a long time.
It's been for years.
Having a fund balance in line with what the common accounting practices indicate is just it's a way to actually save the district money because we don't have to pay the interest on the money we borrow otherwise to cover our routine bills.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't understand that when I first started. Like, what in the world are we sitting on this pot of money for? And it's like, oh, that would be why we're sitting on that pot of money.
Yeah, school finance is
Oh.
always a little interesting because again, you don't get your tax revenue
Right.
until so late. Even, you know, when you do get your shared revenues from the state, even that gets delayed and just different things. And so there's so much, school finance is more complicated than a lot of people look at with some of that stuff. And the more you can dive in and learn from that stuff, the easier it is to then, you know, relay the message about how schools, you know, as you do need stuff, whether it's referendums or different things, it's a little easier to explain.
I
This
picture
is where it's
myself on an air mattress floating along the top, and you and Lisa have the scuba tanks and are diving into the pond to figure it out. And if I have questions, I'm gonna call
Find
you.
us. Find us.
The very first thing I did as a board member 18 years ago was go to the school finance pre-convention
To his
event, the 4-hour opus where the business people tell you about this. And at the end of the 4 hours with the 6-inch thick binder and the business person and the 7 or 8 of us newbies sitting around the table, sort of like this, the eager young woman who was leading our group looks around and says, well, now are you all clear on how school finance works? And I look at her and said, ma'am, with no disrespect intended, if a constituent called me and asked me a detailed question about school finance, the best way I could serve them would be to help facilitate an appointment with them, with our superintendent or our business manager, because I haven't a clue.
Lots of school-specific terminology.
Yes.
You people are something of magicians.
It's complex.
I'm not quite exactly sure how that goes.
It all fits together, but if you guys, again, have any questions, please reach out throughout the year. Otherwise, we'll be in touch as we get through.
Thank you,
for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Safe
much.
travels.
Next on the agenda is our ELA curriculum presentation.
That's a lot of numbers for us
And
English
a lot.
teachers.
Opposite side of the.
Switching gears as we often do, we're going from school finance to ELA curriculum. This is one of our first curriculum presentations. We've asked our, we're gonna be using the screen. We've asked our curriculum department chairs to come here and present to our board the work that they've been doing. So we will turn this on.
Make it short.
Shane, I think it's, second from the right. I think it's that one.
Oh, go ahead.
Perfect, thank
She
you.
hands us that booklet, I'm like,
Pass my
okay, here we go
coffee.
again.
Okay.
Yeah, when you said
Blow
you
it
could
up
go
for
get
today.
one, I was
Yeah.
like,
Get my rather ample self out of the way. Be good.
So Carla Leonard, senior high English.
Hensley.
Carla Hensley.
Yeah. I know.
Oh my goodness.
When I see that name, I'm like, who is
I
that?
say my name wrong.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm sure
sorry,
you do.
Carla Hensley and Jesse Van Hayek, English department, so welcome.
All right, so we were asked to come and just kind of give an update in terms of what we've been doing curriculum wise in the English language arts department. So as Jim stated, I'm Carla Hensley. I'm the department chair. This is my trusty sidekick, Jesse Vandehei. We are the two kind of upper, middle, and high school English teachers. We're at the other school. Here's our department. So we've got 8 of us in our curriculum committee. We met, our latest meeting was on Monday during our in-service day, where we all got together and worked on some of the stuff we're gonna talk about here in just a minute.
You can see our curriculum teams are pretty diverse. We have,
Yes.
you know, everything kindergarten to senior high, interventionist, special education. We really tried to make it very diverse on each of the
One at
departments.
each level, and then, the intervention and special ed
Yeah.
also. So when we started out the curriculum process, I kind of just asked the department, okay, we're doing these curriculum meetings, like what do you as teachers in the department want to get out of it? And along the left-hand side is some of the responses that I got from that. Instilling a love for reading district-wide, increasing rigor, move beyond ramifications of COVID. We know COVID is still, obviously an issue with, kind of playing catch-up and stuff like that, but how can we kind of push our students a little bit further now? Strategies for reading difficult texts, the never quit attitude. We have so many students that just want to give up. And so coming up with strategies to get them to have confidence in their reading and improving their comprehension and stuff like that. And a magical scope and sequence document. We'll show you in a little bit the scope and sequence document we've created as a department. And it's just not user friendly for us as teachers. So we are trying to come up with a way of changing that. So on Monday, we came up with our mission at the right.
Yeah, so the mission statement that we came up with was just to, instill a love of reading while upholding state standards and increasing rigor by using the science of reading. Kind of combining all of those wishes that we started the year off with into a kind of a cohesive vision there. So I'll show you what we wrote when we, as a department, made the curriculum for our English department. Basically, we took kind of 2 prongs here. We have individual curriculum maps that we'll show you a sample of right now. This is a curriculum map for one of the units at the 9th grade level here. The chart that you're looking at lays out what gets taught in a few months of freshman English. On the left-hand side, we lay out all of the Wisconsin state standards for reading. And then as you move right on the document, we get into specifically like what skills and concepts are being taught, what assessments are used to determine whether or not the students are proficient in those concepts and skills that we're teaching. And we have done this for every unit of every class at every grade level across the district. So all of the English teachers, all hands on deck, created curriculum maps to cover what gets taught at the Port Edward School District in the English department.
So there must be, it goes kindergarten up through 8th, and then at the high school level, I believe we've got 12 different classes. So curriculum maps for every unit of all those different classes.
So this is pretty useful. One of the things that we can do with this, because we included the actual Wisconsin standards in each of these maps, one thing that we decided to do on Monday when we met as a department is that we're going to take these maps and lay them out in a spreadsheet to actually spatially visualize what standards get taught across the year. For example, the unit that I just showed you doesn't have much coverage for the 7th reading standard. That's okay for one unit. But if we lay this out on our spreadsheet and we're noticing that on Unit 2 and Unit 3, the 7th reading standard isn't really getting touched on, then we can make some adjustments to the curriculum that we teach. So that's what we're going to do for next steps with those curriculum maps. It should come together pretty easily. That's a couple hours of work. And then, we have a nice visualization of what adjustments we need to make. Where are we not teaching the standards that we're supposed to be teaching? So the plan that we made there is good. One thing that we've also got to do is make some updates to these maps due to staffing changes. some of the teachers that wrote specific curriculum maps are no longer teaching those classes, and a new teacher is in that role, and thus the content being taught has changed a bit. Act 20, of course, radically changed what the elementary reading curriculum looks like. They piloted their new program this year and have bought new curriculum for the next school year. And we'll be using this curriculum for the foreseeable future. So the maps that they wrote, they've essentially got to do those over or make some significant adjustments just so that they reflect what's being taught now with this new curriculum. And then at the high school level, we've got a few adjustments to make with our dual credit offerings. Mid-state,
Totally changed their curriculum for a couple classes.
yeah.
So now I have to.
Yeah, so, you know, what we teach at those classes is partly dictated by Midstate, and so our maps will just have to change to reflect that. The other thing that we created as a department is this document laying out in one 30-page sequence of charts everything that gets taught from kindergarten to 12th grade. This is something that, since we started working together, Carla and I have always kind of wanted. We want to know, you know, what grade do they start learning what a semicolon is? When do they start learning how to introduce textual evidence? When do they learn this part of research? And now that we have it, in this form, it's not super usable because it's so dense with information. It's not easy to figure out the information that we want from it at a glance. Mm-hmm. And so we talked on Monday about how to make this more user-friendly. What could we do to make this more practical? And I think we walked away with a pretty good idea of trying to reorganize this in more of an index format so that it's organized by subject, so that you can look on a document like this and you could see a subject maybe research related, or a subject related to subjects and predicates. Any concept that we want to see taught in our curriculum, we can look by subject and see, okay, this is what they do in 3rd grade related to this. This is what happens in 4th grade. And we think that index format will be way more practical. As a department, we think that is a good move to make. What I'm going to be doing is making kind of a proof of concept with a couple grades and presenting that at our next department meeting, at our next professional development day. And if we're finding that that's more practical, we'll move forward in restructuring our scope and sequence to fit our needs better. So,
Ideally, I would love to be able to look at a student who said they have no idea what a pronoun is when they're in 11th grade and say, you have been taught pronouns since 5th grade. Mm-hmm. Just that sort of a thing. Because this is very daunting to try to look at and then try to figure out what is where.
Yes. So, yeah, we have some good things right now in our curriculum, but some updates to make and some tweaks that are going to make it more practical for us.
All right, so that leads us then to kind of, this is the whole curriculum cycle for all the different departments. So we just started this last year, and you can see that ELA jumped in right at year 7 already. So we had to do, you know, looking at different curriculums, the elementary school kind of piloting their curriculum, like just fast tracking a lot of the process. So that's where we're at in 7 and 8, and these are the tasks that we need to accomplish in year 7 and 8. So the first task was present to the board, which here we are.
Hello.
Check. Task 2 is purchase new materials. So a lot of this information I didn't even really get until Monday, because it's a lot of the elementary and their new curriculum and kind of finding out how they felt with the pilot and stuff like that. So now when it comes to purchasing new materials, I found out on Monday that Jim already did purchase the materials for the elementary for next year, and they have, correct? You have pretty much everything that you need for next year.
It all arrived. Yes.
All arrived.
Wow.
So, so as far as the elementary goes, they don't need any other materials at this point, other than just some extra copies. They said they got 30 copies, but they
Some
also,
workbooks.
yeah. Right now at this point, they just want to go through it for the whole year before they're really able to know if there's gonna be anything else they need. Then grade 6, 7, there's an updated workbook for the My Perspectives curriculum that they use, that they would like to, they're hoping to purchase the updated workbooks instead of the previous version. So that's something we need to see if we can get approved and purchase. And then for Jesse's grades 8 and survey of literature courses, he's looking at a couple different, replacing some of the texts that are taught in there and of getting some updated materials. So that's kind of where we're at in our purchasing task.
And one of the other initiatives that we have here in year 7 and 8 of the curriculum cycle is professional development. And just last week, actually, Carla and I and 2 other teachers, Jamie Tuttle at the middle school level and Erin Meisner at the elementary, the 4 of us went to a convention at the Baird Event Center in Milwaukee. This is the Wisconsin State Reading Conference, and an opportunity to hear from a lot of educators and a lot of great things that they're doing in their classrooms, and just walk away with a lot of ideas to implement in our classrooms.
That's nothing short of miraculous.
Yeah.
Finding joy in essay writing.
You don't enjoy your essay writing?
This is a true miracle.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we didn't say if all these sessions were great or not.
No, truly though, one of the seminars I went to was about a kind of a unique approach to essay writing that I'm excited to try implementing next trimester in my 10th grade literature class. So I'm personally walking away with some great ideas that I'm ready to try and see if they fit with what I'm teaching. So I was thrilled at the opportunity. It was also nice just to spend time with my coworkers here, to have lunch together and to have dinner together and break bread and just become a little closer as a department was really nice for me.
We had a real gap of years here where we weren't doing a lot of professional development, and I think that kind of started with COVID. And then we had some transition in leadership and a whole bunch of different reasons here. But this forming our curriculum departments and working on our curriculum has really given us a structure to getting back to our state level conferences. And we're going to continue this cycle going forward now. So I was, not as excited, but very excited as our departments to see you going to your state level conferences and coming back with so much great information.
And as you can see, there's such a wide range of sessions. I think for each of the 6 time slots, I think there were anywhere from 10 to 15 options of sessions we could sign up for. There were a couple that were canceled. We got there and they were canceled, but there's always something different to go and check out. And I know I came home with like 8 pages of written notes of different ideas I want to try in various classes. So it was very beneficial.
And the last initiative that we have here in year 7 and 8 is just implementing new materials. So the new curriculum over at the elementary next year, they will be running with that My View curriculum here that adheres to Act 20's Science of Reading approach. And it sounds like they're excited about the curriculum and that it's working for them. Yeah, I mean.
And then I think My View is the same company that does My Perspectives.
It is, yes.
At the middle school level. So it all is, builds on itself a little bit, and then, then at the high school level, I do my own thing, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been up to in the ELA department, and I think our next meeting as a group is in April, so I won't be there, but Jesse's got it under control.
Yeah. Carla, what are your plans in April? I don't. Yeah.
Get rid of some heavy lifting.
Congratulations.
So, any questions?
No, I'm just really happy that you went to the conference because, you know, I know throughout my teaching career, that's where you get a lot of great ideas.
Oh, yeah.
And we've just been at the school board convention and that's where we get lots of great ideas. So,
Ideas and texts.
yes,
and
yep.
even connections
Right,
to different
right.
teachers. And,
Yeah.
There was one that said like writing with times of AI, does that make it a lot harder?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure does.
Yeah.
But they did also have a lot of good tips as to different types of questions you can ask students about their writing that makes it harder for them to use AI. They showed us a couple programs that we can use as teachers to try to bust them.
Awesome.
So, yeah,
That's
we were
scary.
all interested in that
Mhm.
session
Sure.
because that is a big issue.
Mhm.
Certainly, like, you know, one of the biggest things that's affected.
Yeah.
Teaching writing has been AI technology emerging in the last 3 years. So
Yeah.
we're navigating that right now, and it was good to get some ideas from people that
Right.
Found success.
It's funny when
navigating
they
that.
give us ideas of like, here's how you can use AI in order to check if they're using AI.
Yeah,
And we're like,
There you go.
okay.
the biggest issue we have is communication,
It is.
which is really what this is. You communicate orally, you communicate in writing, you read. AI, screen time, computers, technology. The biggest deficit we have in society is that we don't communicate very well. If we communicated better in regards all of these things, we wouldn't be in the messes that we're in. And the ground floor of this is what you do with kids who are coming out of the school systems, entering the workforce, becoming adults, who can't express themselves, who can't use written or oral communication effectively in their families, in their culture, and in their workplace.
Or they can't,
So important.
they can't determine when it's appropriate for formal versus informal communication. That's a big thing I try to preach all the time is
Yeah.
there's a time and a place to be informal and there's a time and a place to
This is
sound
so
sophisticated.
spectacular. I can't restate how many times I sat in curriculum meetings running through what was then the standard practice and knowing that it was going in the ring binder and it was gonna sit on the shelf and nobody was gonna look at it, and why can't we be doing our grades in our room? This is practical, this is worthwhile. You have new people coming into the district, parents or staff. They can look at this and they can see what their kids are supposed to be doing as their own children or as their students. This is fantastic. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, that was a lot, that's awesome.
This is great.
Very organized.
They've set a high mark for the subsequent departments. You know, you may not have made friends in the science and social studies areas.
That's okay.
If you can anoint Miller, go for it. Good. Is there anybody who'd like to address the board? No? Okay. Moving to consent agenda, approval of the minutes of the January 14th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Financials, gifts, Lisa.
Yes, I do. Mr. Bina shared with me that Debbie Dillmeyer stopped by the elementary the other day with 3 large boxes of children's crafts and a box of craft paint. That was donated to the elementary school. And from Stephanie Sisson, who is Lori Sisson's mother, donated a die cut machine, and it sounds like it came with lots of shapes and little letters. So they were excited to get that.
Different than the die cut one we have.
It is, if you wanna see it, you can see it. I'll show you after the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
how nice.
Shelf for it in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Consider a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
motion and second. Roll call.
Kathy,
Aye.
Leo,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Carrie, aye.
Crystal?
Hi.
Motion is approved. There is no unfinished business. Under new business, annual reimbursement rates for per diem mileage and meals.
They were presented in the board packet.
Right.
2026 mileage, the IRS rate is 72.5 cents per mile. For meals, day of travel, 2 meals capped at $36. Full day to conference, 3 meals capped at $46. Motion to approve as presented is requested.
So moved.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Consider approval of the academic and career plan, ACP, and education for employment plan, E4E.
Annually, Mrs. Ayers comes forward with the ACP and Education for Employment Plan. That is also presented in our board packet. Were there any questions related to that? Okay,
Very comprehensive.
yes, did a terrific job as
30 odd
always.
pages.
As always.
I'd make a motion to approve the early college program and education for employment plan.
Okay, I'll second it. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 14, consider approval of resignation.
This resignation came in on Monday after the memo and packet had kind of been created, so there is no mention of it in the memo. Motion to approve as presented is requested.
You all saw the letter in your packets.
Yeah.
Very, very sad to see that person leave, but certainly well within their right to do so.
And nice that she gave us time to.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
And as you develop staffing plans for next year, that will also be a
That'll play a factor.
consideration, so.
Absolutely.
Okay, a motion to approve the resignation as stated in the packet.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. First reading of Neolia Policy Update 35.1.
A summary of the 35.1 updates was presented in your packet. If there are no questions, just a first reading is requested of these.
Correct. Consider approval of revision to Policy 5460.
Policy 5460 was brought forward by our guidance department tonight, beginning with the class of 2027. This change was put into effect that an additional academic credit is required in a core class. In order to expand the different types of classes that students could gain that additional credit in, Mrs. Ayers is recommending that we add foreign language to that policy. So the only change to that policy is that in addition to students being able to get that extra credit from a core class, they can get it from a core class as well as a foreign language. I fully support this. It gives our students more choice. And my only other caveat is I'm asking our board if we could waive the 2 readings of it, if we could approve it in a first reading tonight so that we can put it in our handbook.
Sure. Any concern over doing that?
No.
Is that something that came through just
From guidance.
from guidance, right?
Yeah, it gives our students more choice, more opportunity to gain that extra credit.
Were they able to take 4 years of Spanish now? They were, okay, so that,
Okay,
So motion to modify policy 5460 as recommended, is requested,
effective immediate.
effective immediately.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded with the immediate revision of policy 5460 to include foreign language as a core requirement
Credit.
class.
Yeah, beginning, yes.
Yeah. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Individual board comment. Who wants to start tonight? Anyone?
I can.
Okay.
Saturday, I was doing my story time at El Cafe, and I read a book, and it was talking about a little girl who tried to make a goal in soccer and she didn't. And so I talked about, if that happens, what should you do? Should you just sit there and cry? And one of Mrs. Henny's kindergartners said, "You need to use perseverance."
That's awesome.
Because that was their trait in
Character
January.
trait, it was.
I'm like, oh my gosh, Kennedy. And I'm glad that I knew that that's what she was, she
Right.
learned from
She
that.
did.
And I thought, she's 5 years old. She knows what
She
perseverance
knows what
is.
perseverance is.
Yeah.
She knew what it was and she could apply
Okay.
it.
Yes, she
Outside
knew.
of school.
I mean, I think the
That's
adults in the room just, I said, Kennedy, wow, you were really listening at school.
It's fantastic.
That's great.
So,
For a 5-year-old.
yes.
Maybe the English curriculum is having results that we don't even know.
Good for a, 12 or even 18-year-old.
16-year-old, 18-year-old.
Well, and I will tell you, these little 3-year-olds that I have here on Wednesdays,
Right.
they are so smart. I cannot believe it. Because I didn't work with 3-year-olds and they know a lot of things.
Well,
That's a great.
that's why I said to the youngsters who are having their picture taken, I said, Mom's gonna bow out. Okay, good plan, Mom, just be prepared, they're gonna come for you. They're smart little suckers. Thank you. Next,
Oh,
okay,
yeah, I just thought,
It was great to hear.
Jesse and Carlin did a great job with the
Fantastic.
curriculum. I like that the groups are getting together and departments and,
great.
They're all doing great work.
yeah, it's a great work.
I can honestly say you're gonna see the same thing from every group. They're all working very hard to do a great job.
Yeah, it's good to hear that. And it's good to see the students here.
Yeah.
You want to hurry.
So, just touch on that. It's nice to hear that they're creating some rapport with the rest of their fellow teachers and so forth on that meeting, because that's what really starts to drive those things together and,
Kids.
get each other's backs on things. It just propels it, but then, yeah, excellent to see the kids here. I always like it when they come and tell us about all the happenings, and Shane told us a bunch of happenings. But I circled this one right here because it means spring is coming, the March 8th Lions Pancake Breakfast. It's almost always beautiful during the pancake breakfast. And we're gonna get a little taste of that next week. It's
Yes.
So nice. Or even this weekend.
Yeah.
Don't let
so-
Mother Nature hear you.
But when you say pancake breakfast, that's talking about baseball and spring.
She's watching,
Spring,
look at all those happy
spring,
people, what could we do?
So that was a really good announcement. That's all I got.
I know, I thought it was weird when they started baseball and softball practice already and there's snow everywhere. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And as a parent, I'm very excited for all the things happening at both schools. Board member, very proud of what's happening at both schools. That's all I have.
You're up, Neil.
Yep. So, once again, we're so privileged and so lucky to have what we have and to have the caliber of the people serving our kids that we have. We can do things that bigger districts can't do, and we can do them better because of that. Bigger is not necessarily better. Bigger means there's more stuff, but it doesn't necessarily mean better stuff. And that's been the watchword of this district for the almost 50 years that I've lived here. Good job all. So.
Can I add one more thing that I
Certainly,
forgot?
certainly.
I just want to thank the public and the school for allowing the three of us to go to the convention, the school board convention. You know, every year I think, oh, I'm not gonna go. But there are so many good sectionals and so many good ideas and always come back with something new to try. So
Kathy's support cart will be going through both buildings tomorrow, in
Yes.
fact, and that came from the school board convention.
So, more good ideas and it's great.
The next meeting's already set for the 11th. Do we want to look at April?
Only if you promise good weather.
It would be April 8th.
April 8th.
Believe.
Sure.
4/8, day after the election.
Exactly.
If there is no other,
It's almost the end.
It's going too fast.
if there is no other business, so call for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned. As of 6:51.
7 o'clock.
Thank you all.
There you go. You did
Close,
better than
that was
that.
close.
Pretty good.
Yes.
I'm off to Motown at the Pat.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good
yeah.
for you.
School
Good
board,
for
yeah.
you. No, I'm.
We gotta pack up your stuff and I'll do the rest.
I'm